I think that people don't really know the real body of work, what I'm actually good at, right? Everybody just kind of sees the marketing in the face of like, oh, Mike at Iron Valley, but like the back end work has been the real bear.
Yeah.
If you look at how many events have been coordinated, how many people have actually been signed, onboarded, trained, and led to be top producers? How many people are running teams that are brokers or are managing brokers, principal brokers now? Like, bro, there's so many hours of footage that we have that haven't even been published.
Welcome to the Your Peak Life podcast. Let's conquer the summit of life and reach the apex of our potential.
Welcome back to another episode of Your Peak Life podcast. We recently exceeded our 1 year anniversary, which is pretty fantastic. You know, when you start something, it's always good to keep it going. Today, myself, LJ Hunt, the principal broker of Iron Valley Real Estate Norfolk, and Edgar Munoz, the principal broker of Iron Valley Real Estate Prestige, we're going to discuss what it's like and what the differences are from being an agent, a managing broker, an owner, or a team lead, or the principal broker, and what the differences are. So I'll dive right in. Who wants to go first? I just got a few questions kind of out the gate for both of you.
I mean, I think Edgar's got a little bit more experience. You know, I've been in the position for a couple of months. I'm still
I think in the beginning,
rolling.
I think in the beginning, my aspirations were to do this role. I'm not a visionary per se, but I know I'm more of a management type person. I think you got to be honest with yourself on what your position is, because when you fill this role, also a lot of the stuff you're doing, I guess the words I want to use is free. It's your time. It's not free. It's your time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
And it's also a lot of the behind the scenes that's what I enjoy, honestly. When you start seeing agents, you're cultivating agents, you're talking to agents, you're building those relationships, keeping people happy and motivated, kind of like a cohesive force, per se. A lot of that just takes time.
Absolutely.
And then you add in the money, the attorney issues, the admin issues, the sprinkle in just a lot of problems. But before all this started, I was sitting with you. You know, I asked you for your time, and you were open to showing me a lot of the stuff that was already happening, you know, with moving money around, dealing with a lot of issues, simple issues sometimes that it's like I had no clue, you know, agents
these things
weren't,
existed.
Yeah, how many, you know, sometimes there's just issues. I mean, I was not privy to, right? And I, for the simple fact, I was not part of Iron Valley at the time as far as ownership or any kind of management. So
did you have any management experience before you entered your role as a team lead? Let's go there.
You came here as a solo agent and started a team.
Yeah.
So
because we all started obviously as independent contractors, we're all solo agents. Like all of us.
I think you managed people in the military too. Though,
I did.
Right?
I was always getting
you were a
all
supervisor, right?
I was always getting my qualifications. So I was a CDI. I was gonna say CDIF.
Collateral duty inspector.
Yeah. So I had all the collateral duties. Luckily, I had a great. It's a gunner. So it was basically my division officer, who didn't go off of rank in the military. He went off of qualifications. So he said, Edgar, although you're an E4 in the Navy, you're going to be in charge of these E5, E6s for the shop.
Qualifications.
And I was running
the
night shift.
The term is positional authority. You had the qualification and the ability to do the job, so they put you in charge.
They put me in charge. I was not a pushover. After the military, I did run what's called, I was an extrusion foreman for a company, and I helped them start their
extrusion foreman. What is that, dude? Explain yourself.
So, you guys ever ate?
Right, LJ? Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay.
It's really just a machine, and that's what the position. It's an extrusion. I'm not even going to go into it, but it's a big fucking machine that creates all the soft chews and tablets and things like that.
So you maintain this equipment, this machine, or you?
Is it like the Laffy Taffy joint that I see in Willy Wonka?
A little bit of that.
So you like engineered
even the
this
soft chews for your animals.
So you built this thing.
Pretty much. So I had engineers come in. They showed us. We had to shop from a lot of equipment. Then we put it together, and that comes from the military, building weapons.
Yeah, of course.
Putting shit together, reading the schematics, all that stuff that you did also, right?
Yes, sir.
So everything has to flow from the extrusion, from the mixes to the extrusion, to the conveyor belts to the measure. You know where I learned how to measure weights. So measuring weights.
We're not in LA anymore, Edgar.
So leveraging your past of being able to manage multiple things and lead multiple people.
Right, you basically you put a whole production together.
Put a production crew together.
A project manager, essentially.
Meeting deadlines.
At a high level, yeah.
Meeting deadlines for Walmart, Walgreens, these big companies, $1 million contracts. So at this level, yeah, I could also tell when somebody's not going to work out. But the difference is, you just fire them.
Or they're an independent contractor, and that is where it's different. Like, you're not all employees, right? Like,
correct.
We give you tools, but like it's up to you to use it.
Right, and that's a different mindset also. Yep. Whereas over there, you're not meeting these deadlines. You're out.
Right.
Done. Period.
Yeah. So let me ask you this then: leadership in the military, leadership in the civilian corporate world, leadership as an entrepreneur. What have you seen have been the major differences, per se, from team lead to now your position as a principal broker of an organization?
Well, I think there's certain aspects that are the same, and then there's obviously more authority and more responsibilities you're going through. So,
well, there's different ages also, where I come into reckless Edgar into the military. I mean, it's the truth.
See, he's just keeping it real, right? Like,
I'm 18, 19 years old, and I'm not
different state of mind. You're not
I'm not with the authority, and you have those stupid mindsets where you're not gonna. Well, there's still a level of that where you're not gonna approach me in certain type of ways. I'm still, what we would say is like, as a man,
you're a dad and a grandfather, and you're not out here trying to catch charges.
Well, no, it's also the way you approach people.
Absolutely.
You have great leaders and you have some poor leaders. Mm-hmm. Although I may have an issue with you, I'm still going to approach you with respect, but I am going to be firm at times. I'm also learned a lot from Mike where in certain situations, because as Edgar in production, I never really had issues with my contracts.
Right.
My contracts are pretty fucking smooth.
Yeah.
So then when you move into this role now, you're dealing with a lot of other agents' problems.
Stuff that, it's not yours.
You never really had to deal with.
I'm not that good at addressing them, right? So then that's where his expertise comes in.
So I realized that probably about a year ago when, there was an issue and I had to bring it to the principal broker, and I had all my ducks in a row lined up, everything. I'm like, hey, Mike, this is what's going on. Here's your email. Boom. Out of all the transactions and everything that I've done that once or twice. So when they get that email from me, it's like, all right, let me dig in. What's going on? Where now I'll get an email and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, what did you do? Like, well, wait a second. So going from independent contractor, and luckily I was, groomed by this guy basically. And then obviously Andy in the early days and Breland in the early days, which are all honestly from this guy's tree anyway. So I learned various ways to do my job as quickly as possible. I mean, if you look at the transition for me in general, I haven't even started year 4 yet. Right. I'm a little bit past 3.5 now. Mm-hmm. I got to close my first transaction in February of 21.
Yeah. But how many have you closed since then?
Right.
Because
how many have I closed, or how many have I been a part of? Because that's two different. That's two different. People look at it and they're like,
not.
It's funny because it's like under my name, I think I'm close to 150 or something. But in reality, I mean, I've been a part of 250 to probably 300 transactions before I became a principal broker, whether I was just learning how to do it in the streets or, whatever was going on.
Even right now, how many deals a month is your office doing?
I mean, we're up to 28 as of the month before. September was a little slow because we took our foot off the accelerator when Zoe was born. So, but other than that, I mean, we're going to close over 30, I think, this month pretty easily. So,
but I mean, you just had a grand opening over the summer, so it's not like.
No, we're rolling. You know what I mean? I'm not even gonna lie. Like, October's going to be our best month, and then I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, we've got a lot of big moves coming, but.
What about the, I'll ask you both this, I don't want to call it a burden because it's actually a responsibility and you kind of accept it when you take the role.
Right.
But the burden of, not to use that term negatively, but sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do, right? Like it's almost like putting on a production or a show every week, the training piece. How much training you actually have to focus on, create, teach, implement, and then assist people in executing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 5-stage process of the training at the company right there.
Yep.
And Edwin, who's sick today, is a
Yep.
huge part of that. Christy, who helps us put the slide decks and material together and statistical data together, who came from you and Edwin, like a lot of effort, time, and energy goes into that. And I know you stood up your own stuff at the office.
Mm-hmm.
I do see prestige stuff, like as far as lunches and certain events out in town happening and team leads collaborating. Like, talk about that lane of a principal broker.
So before you get to yours, so with my lane, I have these guys to help where I'm able to focus on, I meet agents every morning. I don't announce it, but I'm with agents every morning.
Mm-hmm.
Kimberly Foster, who just came over, I was with her on Monday, so her team's about to take off. So my training is one-on-ones. That's what I enjoy. Edwin, who I would say is a monster, standing up front, keeping the crowd entertained, and Christy, like you
He's
said,
a phenomenal instructor. He is. He's
Christy,
really
who is, taking notes and creating the slide deck for him, is a tremendous help to me, right? And I think we all have the agents who have their favorites, right? Agents have been reaching out to you versus they reach out to me. We have our own little crowds,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And then I see you stood up the systems training, what I think we were lacking, right? Because
100%.
you are great at KB Core and those systems.
You also have a teaching degree,
Yep, a
which
little bit.
is pretty vital in teaching.
Who'd have thunk it? It was funny. We did a systems training yesterday, and we went over the disc profiles before we started doing our role playing for the listing consultation. And there was 30 people in there or whatever, and I was like, everybody understands this, right? And then I literally went DISC.
Please
Ready?
tell me you hit them with how they actually
Of course,
interact
back and
with
forth,
each
how they
other,
interact, how they butt heads, all that sort
and
of stuff.
how you're supposed to use that to be better, not to avoid
yeah.
people.
So that was a huge part of it. The 10 to 15 minutes, like,
versatility,
who are
man.
you talking to? Is it sphere of influence? Is it FISBO? Is it expired? But I also went Mike, Edwin, Eric, Edgar, and pointed to each one. And I said, that's why your leadership team works so well together, is because if you think about it, Mike's the D, Edwin's the I, Eric's the S, Edgar's the C, and they all went, oh my
crazy.
god! Like, what are you talking? Holy crap! Like, I was like, now who are you talking to on the other end of the phone?
Yeah. And what's funny is you're sitting in a room with us thinking like that,
Mm-hmm.
watching us communicate.
It's great.
But I think, and to that point, I think me and him are supposed to be bumping heads.
Correct.
But we don't really.
Yeah, but that's where it comes to. I never have taken. Well, I have, but I've never studied it, the disc profile. But I know just from experience, like
In life. Yeah.
that's what's helped me.
But
out
as
to
an
deal
S-
with
Just
you
to
and your
communicate
attitude.
properly.
As an
Right.
S, you're a natural team leader. Like, that's your thing. Like, your thing is to make sure everything is cohesive, stand back, kind of watch what's going on and whatnot. Where, Eric and him butt heads all the time. And that's because Eric's a C and he's a D. Eric's a CD. Right. And that's why they complement each other as well because of their mutual respect, and they lead moving forward, knowing that they have one end goal, but they have different perspectives on everything that they do.
Which I appreciate because sometimes Eric does ask those questions, and it's like,
You just go,
that is a good point.
Yeah,
we
right.
didn't think of
Yeah.
it from that. Like every now and then,
That's
there's
perfect.
Everybody's got a little golden nugget, man.
You
It's,
got to.
But I
Yeah.
think that's probably a huge part of it too. I think we all have enough life experience to respect each other's opinion, even if we don't agree with it. Everybody is heard.
right.
Well, you have to. So to go back to kind of what you were talking about with the trainings and, whether it was standing it up or, I mean, it's a ton of work. Like, it's an absolute ton of work.
But so necessary, man.
It was so needed. Like, I literally took what we were already doing and I said, all right, what are the subjects that we need
Where's
to
the hole?
integrate? Yeah,
Where's
where do we need to integrate? And that's where the systems training was born, and that's where the onboarding now was born, so that every month we have.
And it's been a fantastic response, has it not?
It's been great.
It's amazing when you find a need and you fill it. It's usually successful, right?
So I talked to Joshua even recently. It was like, all right, so these are the 8 topics that we're going to rotate through. So now we've got 8 weeks worth of content that we're just going to tweak each week as we're going through, because systems don't really change that much unless the system itself actually changes.
Yep.
So, you know, all these new people that are coming in, they're like, all right, well, what do I do with my SkySlope? Or, hey, how do I get leads through KB Core? Or how do I do that? Okay, well, you can go back and look at the training on that, or you can attend the one that's coming up in 3 weeks, right? Or you can come to the onboarding class, or you can do X, Y, and Z. But all the information is starting to go out there, and you see, you know, in the family page, like I'm just pumping out, like here's my data plan. Here's what I'm doing for this. This is what I'm doing for this. This is what I'm doing for this, because.
So I'm not going to lie to you. That's been happening pretty quick, and I don't open every file. Is it generic Iron Valley Real Estate branded, or is it plug and play?
So all they got to do is put it into Canva or into Adobe and change my name on it. Like change the name and the address for whatever the thing is that's there. But other than that, it says, dear friend, blah, 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 blah. Or, whatever.
I got you.
So
nice.
Send it to Christy.
Doesn't get much easier than that, right? Like
I'll repay for all of that.
yeah. And I mean, not for nothing. I think people forget about the terabytes of graphics and quotes and video work. Like, I think that people don't really know the real body of work, what I'm actually good at, right? Everybody just kind of sees the marketing in the face of like, oh, Mike at Iron Valley, but like the back end work has been the real bear.
Yeah.
If you look at how many events have been coordinated, how many people have actually been signed, onboarded, trained, and led to be top producers? How many people are running teams that are brokers or are managing brokers, principal brokers now? Like, bro, there's so many hours of footage that we have that haven't even been published or chopped up or, you know, just
And Adam, I know I saw your email. We need to schedule that Zoom.
Yeah, but that's also why we're recording content today. Get back on track. You know, it's just there's so much.
So that's the stuff that I'm talking about. That is your time.
Absolutely, you uploading the video footage.
Yeah, there's 50 episodes, but that's
just to submit the raw
100 episodes for me, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely, 110%.
But that's where your time comes in, because it keeps the agents happy. It keeps the company growing. We have our goals, and that's why we have Tuesday meetings.
Every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday. Another thing that's on the calendar.
Meeting minutes. Everybody's held accountable. Everybody participates. Everybody, you know, we run it like a company. This isn't some fly-by-night, you know. Like, no, we run this like a business.
Yeah, and it's great. Like, you guys have your interactions between the 4 of you and whatnot, and Julian and I complement each other like extremely well as well.
Yeah.
So like,
by the way, is he getting his broker's license? I think he's
working on it. So are both of my team managers. Like, both of them are like, hey, we're gonna go ahead. And I was like, yeah, you are, because I'm gonna need a manager one because I'm gonna need to open up Suffolk or Yorktown or Richmond or
which the website's getting updated. Submitted the map, franchise opportunities. Come holler at us. We do interview. We don't just let anybody open a firm.
Yeah, so speaking of which, let's talk about that for a second. I mean, Julie and I were the guinea pig of opening up, you know, the entity without
not
any
a guinea
of the
pig. You're talking about the area development.
So
no, I think you guys have been great additions to the company, bro.
We all saw you. You know, obviously he was hands on with you, and then I totally agree. Like, I know when you're given the task, you were going to execute. Yeah, you know, what's the homework now, right? You got to be talking to agents.
That's also where Julian is leveraged. So I've brought on a few. Don't get me wrong, but
Julian's definitely the connection relationship guy. So you have to have division between who's receiving, like bringing them in, but who's really like they're two separate things, right? You have the recruitment and then you have the retention.
Yeah.
Yes.
They go hand in hand via. I'm giving everybody gems right now. The training.
Yeah.
That's really the secret sauce that everyone talks about. What's the secret sauce? It's training and support.
It's knowledge. Yeah.
It's leadership. Yeah. It's holding people accountable, being responsible. Some people aren't going to like you. Some people will. Who cares? Do what's right.
Yep.
But I think that's where we leverage each other's time, because as I look out there in our market, you know, those brokerages that are maybe 1 or 2 owners, it seems like they cap off. There's only so much they can grow.
Of course, because it takes 4 things to run the business, right? And we always have 3 of them, right? We need something to sell, which is real estate. Yeah, we need a place to do it. Mm-hmm. There we go. We need money to be able to do it, And then that's the missing piece is the people. You know, I mean, 4 people can run to 300 people. 6 people can run even more. Like, but 2 people, to your credit, especially depending on how much work they're doing, like you can only do 30, 40, 50 people and keep them.
And
And it's not even just us. Like you look at all the admins, you look at all the team leads, you look at all the, I mean, 100%. All our vendors, all our lenders, just everything. Just
now, I think that it's just the ability to coordinate all that is communication is number 1. Number 2 is like mutual respect, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes people just have to know where their ceiling is, right? Like there's lines and levels and a governing documentation for every business entity that you're a part of. When it comes down to brass tacks, that's really what you adhere to, right? You know, on the Prestige side, he's the principal broker. He's the president and CEO, the governing body of that entity, right? You know, although other partners might be a treasurer or a secretary or whatever, he's taking all the liability.
Right.
Just like me at Hampton Roads. Or if you're a managing broker, you're solely really responsible for that store, right? So we have multiple firms where if something happens, they're going to call somebody else. And we hope it doesn't make it all the way up, you know?
Right.
But what has been your biggest challenge so far, both of you?
My challenge is going to be in front of the camera.
Okay.
That's it. I do want to get in front of the camera, you know, post the training videos, things like that. That is my challenge. And thank you, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Because I have these thoughts. I know
though.
what I want to say. I just can't articulate it sometimes.
Serious note. Have you set up to do the lifestyle video for Prestige, you or Eric? You seen the videos that
I've seen the
me and
videos.
Edwin been rolling out?
But I think I was going to come up with something different for Prestige since the Chesapeake office is already in there. You see what I mean? So it was going to be something different, which I was going to pitch to you guys.
You going to talk to Sean, though? See if he can... Okay.
Yep,
cool.
yep.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
This time,
I prefer to see you
for me?
the mink coat from the
Oh
holiday
my
party.
God, please. That'd be
Like,
amazing.
that's
Sure.
Prestige.
That'd be
status.
amazing.
walk
Well,
it
I mean, if you're going to make your video debut, you might as well make your video debut, you know.
You want more camera time?
I'm Edgar.
Gotta get it.
Yeah.
Take the mink off. Like, just walk around. That'd be
Okay.
nice.
What about you?
It's been the time aspect for me. You know, it's really going through the quadrants of what's urgent, what's important, what's not urgent, what's not important.
Prioritization.
Yeah, I mean, because
Love
you know the training's obviously important, but so is paying agents every morning, so is recruiting, so is locking in retention, so is doing those one-on-ones. So I opened up Wednesdays for one-on-ones as well as Thursdays, and trying to just get my systems in place because that's where I fall on the disc profile is and strength and organization. So, and not only that. Obviously family goes into friends, production. There's just a lot of things that are moving parts. And another aspect that people don't think about is like, I'm in year 4. That's when all my past clients are going to start selling their houses. So if it wasn't for my team and having those processes and everything in place and being like, hey, you need to come to this listing appointment with me. All right, cool. Can you take it from here? All right, great. Because I can't. I got to build out this slide deck because I've got X, Y, and Z going on tomorrow, or I have to go attend this, meeting or whatever's kind of going on in my life. So it's really just about managing time. So it's much different than the restaurant because you were in the building. I could lock myself away in the office if I absolutely had to, right? But I'm always getting pulled. I'm always getting, things are always happening within the brokerage, and there is a timeline to this that people might not understand. Like, I do the same thing every morning. You do the same thing every morning. You probably do the same thing every morning.
Facts.
I mean, because we have to prep for our day, and every once in a while I'm like, ooh, I got to finish X, Y, and Z. Oh, I got to slide this over to here. I got to move this around. I got a podcast to do. I got a listing appointment to do. I got to sub in for training.
And you got to be fluid too, though, right? Because there's one thing to have structure. There's another thing to be able to execute. So there are times where we have to just go with the flow and execute. Mm-hmm. Like today.
Yeah,
we had somebody down. We had training to execute. We had to switch up how we were doing the podcast. We have another guest coming in, right? Like I'm still going to make it back to be with our agents at the oceanfront after, right? Like that's a leader. That's effort. That's
That's what we do.
Yes.
I mean, it's really what we do.
So it's it's just being a problem solver. There's a problem, we'll fix it, and then we just live our life. You know what I mean? Like,
we're not.
Where's the
pushing it
next
off.
task? We tackle it and we move on. I think that all of us in the room have short memories, right? Or at
Super
least I
short.
hope I've ingrained that to a degree.
Yeah.
Like, you'll call me sometimes and I'm like, dude, we don't even need to care about that. Like, that's crazy. Don't worry about that. You're going to be stressed out. You know what I mean? Then there's times where I'm stressed out and Edgar's like, Mike, stop being emotional, you know.
Relax, bro.
Or we joke with each other like it's not that serious, or like, you know,
I'll just listen.
what do you say?
Bro, you had
first
me-
world
I'm not
problems,
even-
you
I'm
know,
not even-
stuff
Sometimes
like,
it's just first world.
it's all
yeah,
first
we
world
literally
problems. I
have
mean,
we have sayings within our own little group from each person where we like kind of calibrate each other's attitude. You know what I mean? Like, and we can read each other. Like, we know when somebody's dealing with maybe a family issue, or if something's urgent. Like the other day, he came in, he said, "Yo, this deal's going south. Somebody didn't do a HVAC or whatever." He's like, I got to go handle that. We're like, bet that, no doubt.
Yeah.
Go get
Yeah,
that.
do what
Like,
you gotta
we
do.
got this. You know what I mean? Like, we're
They-
so
they-
fluid.
They know that. I think we all know. Like, I meet my appointments and everything. If
yeah,
it's a real issue,
Right.
that's just the one time out of. I
But
don't know
we're
how
so
many.
fluid. Like, it doesn't even matter. Go handle that. You
Yeah.
know, we got this. We'll send you the meeting minutes. Like, you know,
Easy day.
it's a dream team, man. You know, like I hope maybe that has a lot to do with how we built the company from the get, and the people we chose to continue to grow it with. But I am in a place of, I don't want to say like absolute bliss, because I'm not complacent or naive, but we're doing very well compared to a lot of things that I had to deal with and overcome early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's good to watch. It's good to be a catalyst of it. It's good to like just sit back and see other people winning with what I've put out in the world, you know?
Well, it's good to see, like, you know, you guys went through all those challenges and opportunities that you had to early on. And then, you know, it was time to build Prestige and build another principal broker. And then it was time to build another principal broker. And
Yeah,
now
well,
it's really
dude,
time
I mean-
to
Well,
start
that's where
franchising
those
out
things,
and,
those
like,
conversations, right?
get
Because at the
together.
time,
So-
Prestige was not going to be.
So I was acting on those things before I got coached, but then I got coached.
yeah.
And then it was like a whole new world opened up, because I'm Mr. Execution. You show me something, it's done. Like, that's just how I am. But I've always specialized in showing other people how to do what I do. Always. I taught you everything I knew in the field. And if I didn't know, hey, here's a guy that knows. Here's a girl that knows.
And now I'm putting you on mute in training because you're answering the questions that I already know that you know, because you're the one that taught them to me.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's some of the great things.
Yeah.
Is like, I know that I'm right because one of the people
Dude,
that's done it.
even money or paying or whatever, like, I can't tell you the last time I had anything to do with that. I taught a couple of people, and then they finally convinced me to change financial institutions, and now the staff is handling it. Like, there's growth.
Yeah, those are the things that I think
As
we
you-
see.
scaling and you know, just kind of, you got to know when to let go.
Prestige
you know,
was like a little bit of this right before finally.
I
he
didn't
was
want
like,
it.
he
You can
didn't
tell the
want it.
truth, bro. It's okay.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
there was a little
I-
bit of friction.
I
but
did not want to have anything to do with that.
Right, but the industry needed it.
But I spoke to my coach. I went back to my, you know.
But it also comes
leadership
down
team.
to data. I'm data
Facts.
guy
But the
too.
industry
And-
needed it. That's
and it
what I'm
came
saying.
out to like, yo, these numbers, man, it just really makes sense. And quite frankly, we have the leadership team to pull it off. We're that diverse, we're that articulate, we're that educated in our industry. I knew we could do it, but I didn't know the law behind it. So there was some study in there and just making sure we were A1 with it, you know.
Yep.
And there still was a lot of confusion of battle after the fact, just as I thought there would be,
Yep.
but not quite as bad as I thought it would be. You know what I mean? Like it was manageable.
Yeah.
And it made our transition easier as well because you guys went through that, and then
All of
it
it,
was
bro.
like 5-6 months later before we.
And you had the
kinda went
Carolina
through it.
piece, and you had
Yeah.
the, you know, a lot, you know, but we do a good job of not marketing losses. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't really talk about them. We're such fixers. We just move on. Where's the solution? We don't really spend time in negative town. Like
There's no reason to. I mean,
We well, even there are days where we literally look at each other like, well, that sucks, but
We're in the shit.
we gotta figure it out.
there's nothing you can do
Okay.
about it. Yeah.
Every day is a grind, but it's a room full of grinders, so it doesn't even matter. You know,
And I think that's where that, well, I'm not going to say from the military, but it's just a mentality also. It's like I'm in it already Oh, well.
But we're a room for the grinders, but we're also a room full of visionaries. You know, like we're always looking like 4, 5, 6 steps ahead.
Well,
and
I think kind of like
the-
you said, Edgar said it. He said, actually, I'm not a visionary. You know,
Not at all.
And if you ask Edwin, Eric, or myself, I will tell you, Edgar is what do we need to do? Okay,
Yeah.
done. Job finished.
Yeah.
Like Edgar, like, bro, what are we doing? Bet. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll do this. You get this. You get that. He's an executor. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Let's just get it done.
He doesn't even need to know the full vision. That's the cool thing about Edgar.
Are we moving that way?
What part am I doing? Got it. Like, he just does. Whereas Eric, he will plan it out on a grand scale and give you this just eye in the sky vision, right? And then, like, me and Edwin will spin it and boil it down and ask certain questions, and you know, so it just works, man. And then we send it over to you, and there are times where I want to fucking strangle you. I'm like, this guy's such an analytical.
Yeah.
You are. Some of your responses to people, I'm like, like, but I also understand that like everybody's not the same, you know. So it's cool, and it's like,
But see, those are those moments when I know when to ignore Mike also.
But I
know
I don't even reply in that fashion anymore.
No,
Like,
you don't.
Not
But
anymore. That's
no,
true.
but even then, I know.
But it's still like-
even like I could see you, I could hear you, right? It's just like you're already in my mind. Like, that's fucking Mike. I'm laughing.
Yeah, because it's just like some shit is just like, are you fucking kidding me? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
but that's just your personality. You got to understand it, and then I've always separated the emotion with the actions.
I think other people need to understand it, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like, people just judge you. Like, no, if you just shut the fuck up and listen sometimes.
That
you know what I'm
is
saying?
where
Like,
that's where I thank the military, because I was exposed to all those characters in a grand scale.
the diversity is wild, for sure.
I saw more of you in there. I saw more of you, and you know, like you would be my nuke IT guy, and this like intelligent face walking around, super pale white, like,
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
playing Dungeons and Dragons.
He
right?
Definitely not doing that. But that's cool.
Definitely not.
Definitely not doing that. But that's
I'm just
cool.
kidding with you, but no, all those characters
You're like
are there
a-
in a grand
like-
scale that I was.
I see
exposed to.
LJ, I see like a division officer. You know what I'm saying? Like, or like a young pilot. You got that type of look. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you can see that in the military. I know exactly what you mean. You could walk through the hangar bay of an aircraft carrier and literally pick
Know
where
what the
people are
race
So
from.
where people get turned off by like a Mike's attitude or whatever, it's just like, I get it. It's just, he's that guy. And also I see his future. I know the growth. Because I've also seen those characters, because those were my friends who are, 6-7 years ahead of him right now. As far as emotional state, attitude, or whatever, I already know what's going to happen to Mike. Like there's people I know already, it's just the same fucking character, different person, whatever. But 5-6 years from now, I just see the growth.
I'm excited for our growth just in general. I mean, I feel like literally a couple of months, like there's going to be somebody else that's getting ready to be another principal broker as we're rocking and rolling, or we're going to be just going on to the next thing. I mean, we've got what would you say 340 now? Pushing 340 agents?
337
somewhere in there, like
total.
and we're coming
For the brand, I don't
Yeah.
really count it by firm or by office.
Well,
anymore.
that's how I do it,
track
too.
all of Iron Valley throughout Hampton Roads and
Yeah.
and North
in our
Carolina.
area, right? Like that's how I look at it too.
Everything
is
that I have any attachment to, I try to track it. Like,
Yeah. Well,
you guys know that. I'm always asking questions.
we're gonna have to wrap it up. But I mean, as far as a principal broker, I'm on their time. That's the biggest thing I've learned.
Servant leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it there.
Always.
Mic
Yeah.
drop.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, thanks for watching. Give us a follow. Click the link below. Subscribe. And hope to see you around on another episode. Thank you.
Take it easy.